Hi, I'm Zainab Khan and you're watching Studimation. Here's the hot headline. Today, the world's oil supply has dried up. A crisis meeting of world leaders took place in Washington last night. Yesterday, the top oil-producing companies of the world declared that the world's supply of oil was now exhausted. The last barrel of oil has been filled and the oil rigs will drill no more. The world now faces an energy crisis. No more oil will mean no more petrol for transport or machinery. There can be no more plastic for components in many household products like televisions, microwave ovens, cars, and telephones. Energy ministers from all around the world are meeting today in Switzerland to discuss the crisis and try to find a solution. Coal deposits are low and nuclear power stations are already overworked to meet the demand for electricity. The news you just heard paints a gloomy picture of what could happen in the future. It is hard to imagine a world without oil, but even now, there's only a limited amount of oil left in the ground. In other words, it is finite or limited in supply. As more and more is used up, there will come a time when no oil remains. The world's oil took many millions of years to form, but we may use it all up in a few hundred years. However, it is not just oil that is finite. Some forecasters suggest if we continue to consume goods and services in the future at the same rate as we do today, many natural resources such as aluminum, copper, lead, tin, zinc, and timber from the last remaining rainforest will all be used up within the next 50 years. Even the land we farm or build on and the clean air and drinking water we need are all finite or limited in supply. If you imagine the world as a round ball, then it is possible to see that only a limited amount of these resources can be squeezed from it. Resources are important because they are used to make goods such as bread, televisions, cars, fruits, and vegetables, and to provide services such as banking, insurance, transport, healthcare, policing, and cleaning. Production therefore involves using resources to make and sell different goods and services. Resources such as natural materials, land, machinery, and workers are the inputs to productive activities, and goods and services are their products or outputs. Any activity that fails to satisfy a human need or want is not a productive activity, according to economists. So, for example, if resources are used to make clothes nobody wants to wear, televisions that fail to display moving images, clocks that cannot keep time, or any other good or service that fails to satisfy a human need or want, then those resources have not been used productively. The people and organizations which make and sell goods and services are known as producers. So what if the resources we use to produce goods and services are limited in supply? The world is a big place and it may take many years for non-renewable resources like oil, coal, gas, copper, and iron to run out. We can also renew or replace other resources such as trees for timber, corn to eat, and people to work in shops, offices, and factories. In fact, the population of the world is growing rapidly. A larger global workforce will be able to produce more machines, build more factories, and invent new materials and better ways of producing food and other goods and services. All people have the same basic human needs, whether rich or poor. We all need food, clean water, and some shelter from the extremes of the weather in order to live safely and to survive. However, people usually want far more than they need. We want fashionable clothes, big televisions, smartphones, cars, holidays, insurance, and banking services, and much more. However, unlike our human needs, we do not need to satisfy our human wants to survive. Just imagine, if we could list all of the goods and services that everyone in the world wanted, the list would go on forever and would grow longer as the world population expands. Our human wants are therefore without limit, and it is not possible to satisfy them all. This is because there will never be enough resources in the world to do so. Resources are scarce compared to our unlimited wants for goods and services. Some people cannot even satisfy all their basic needs because of the scarcity of resources. Free goods are items we may need or want that are without limit. For example, air is so abundant in supply that you can breathe it without reducing the amount available to other people. Similarly, there is enough natural light during every day for everyone to enjoy as much as they want without it running out. As such, there is no point paying for air or natural light if they are freely available and without limit. Many ideas and inventions are also free goods. For example, new dance moves or yoga exercises can be copied freely by one or more people without reducing the ability of others to do the same. Similarly, when you view a web page, it does not prevent other people from viewing it. Although if everyone in the world did so at the same time, it might crash the internet. However, there are very few truly free goods. Most of the goods and services we need and want are limited in supply compared to our demand for them. This is because our wants are without limit and there are just not enough resources available to produce everything we want. We must therefore choose what products and services to produce with our scarce resources. For example, producing more cars will leave fewer resources available to produce computers. Unlike free goods, cars and computers, along with most other goods and services, are economic goods. This is because they're limited in supply. If you drive a car, use a computer, or even wear a coat or eat a cake, these goods will no longer be available to others to use because they're limited in supply. People are therefore willing to pay to obtain these and other economic goods in order to satisfy some of their wants. We consume goods and services when we use them to satisfy our human needs and wants. When we eat, we are consuming food. When we watch television, we are consuming electricity, the television set, and the services of a television company. When we go to schools and colleges, we are consuming the services of teachers. We are consuming when we read books, sit on chairs, sleep on beds, put money into a bank account, ask a policeman the time, listen to the radio, and use up any other goods and services in order to satisfy our wants. Consumption therefore involves the using up of goods and services to satisfy human needs and wants. However, because these goods and services are finite, we will be unable to satisfy all of our wants. We must all therefore choose which goods and services we will consume. The choices we each make will also affect other people. This is because our consumption of economic goods will result in fewer economic goods being available to other people. This is because economic goods are limited in supply. The people and organizations which buy economic goods and services to satisfy their wants are known as consumers. And the total amount they spend each period on economic goods is called consumption expenditure. Some people may be able to satisfy some of their wants by producing a number of goods and services for their own consumption. For example, kindergartners may grow vegetables to eat to satisfy part of their need or want for food. Others may make furniture from wood for their families to use. However, very few people can make all the things they want. Consumers therefore engage in trade or exchange with producers to obtain those economic goods they cannot produce themselves. In modern economies, many people are able to do this by going to work to earn money. They then exchange this money for the goods and services they want that are produced by other workers. So, we now know what the central problem in economics is. Resources are finite or limited in supply. They're used up in the production of goods and services. But human wants for goods and services are without limit. We must therefore choose what to produce and consume because we cannot satisfy all of our wants. Thank you for watching Studimation, animated educational videos.